My name is Kurt Adderstone,
Yeah.
and this is Daring Games, and together we are the Adderstone
Yeah,
Games
that's how the name came together.
team. Yeah, it's how are you doing today, Mr. Adderstone?
Actually, not great, funnily enough. So it's not a good
Sorry to
day.
hear that.
Yeah.
That's a bad. How candid do you want to be about?
Oh, it's
feeling not
fine. I can
great?
tell you there's two reasons it's not great. One, I spent the whole morning writing emails, and I hate writing emails. And I think I've just finished writing emails, and now I get to do art briefs. But that means I'm also very excited for the stream because we get to be creative, and that's the best part about doing this. And the second reason is just I just don't feel very well. Sometimes there's just days where there's something wrong with your body. I don't know what's going on. I'm not like vomit sick, just everything's just like a bit off kilter, and I feel like just a bit weird, and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, I get that.
But,
Oh, hey Zilphia, saying hi to Zilphia too in the stream. Joanna saying hi in the chat. What's up?
But we'll power through it.
I'm sorry to hear that because your experience exactly mirrors my experience today. Did I tell you that?
No, you haven't told me that yet.
Yeah. So my floor is just covered with paperwork.
Okay.
The worst part about living in Japan as an independent business person is the paperwork.
Yeah.
And when you you have national healthcare in the UK.
Yes.
Do you get like tons of paper all the time from different government agencies?
No. We pay if you're employed, you pay a tax. And if you're self-employed, then I have to volunteer to pay a tax, or when I hit some threshold, I pay a tax, and that's it. It just happens once a year. You just pay some money, and then you're good. Yeah.
Okay. So here's how it works in Japan. If you every agent, you have to pay attention to 3 or 4 different agencies, and when they send you shit, they send you reports, and then they send you like envelopes, and then sometimes the payment is in an envelope, and they send you like a thing that's like this thick with like 40 pieces of paper, and then because there's different ways to pay for it, you could either pay for the whole year, or you could pay for the first half of the year and the second half of the year, or you could pay for 2 months at a time, or you could pay for every month. It's for your convenience, but the problem is they send you all this paperwork, and just keeping everything straight and it's all in Japanese, so it's also like I can read Japanese, but it's my second language, so it's not like, oh yeah, it's like anime. Naruto's becoming powerful.
It's legalese Japanese, right?
Yeah, it's and I mean
Can you show me an example without doxing yourself?
Hold on. This isn't even the shit's on my floor. This is just like I just have to deal with this
these
stuff.
private companies, or is this the government?
This is like the government stuff.
Oh my God. Yeah. So
me
for those not in the
both,
know, Japan is despite looking like it's from the future, it needs to digitize. Japan needs to digitize as a country. Everything still runs on fax machines and paperwork. And
so here's like a health insurance thing we got, and I have to like sort through this, and like, okay, well, this is just telling me like the pay period that we had, and so it's like a report. So I guess it's not that important. But then I also have to keep it, even though it's not that important. And then you have like this kind of thing, where it's like telling you how much to pay, and then and the amount, and I'm like, okay, well,
yeah, I'm pretty sure Japan still works on a physical storage basis. Like everything still has to be printed out and put in a filing cabinet somewhere. They're not digitized at all. Which makes
exactly.
Okay, well,
it's very stressful. Anyway, it's so that was my morning. And I'm just trying to sort through all my shit and trying to get rid of what I don't need. But it takes a lot of energy to figure out what you still need.
Yeah.
So, and so I also feel off kilter for that reason.
Not just Japan. Oh no, is Canada still on paper? Because I feel like Britain's pretty good at being digitized now. Like even our taxes. In fact, we're being forced. Like they're forcing us to do digital taxes. Like next year, I think we can't do anything by paper anymore, even if we wanted to.
Yeah, and it just I don't know. It's just stressful. Yeah, it's just stressful because I'm trying to keep it all straight, but it's hard keeping it all straight while also doing all the things one needs to do to make a living.
Yeah.
Because none of that stuff actually makes you money. You just have to do it so that the government makes their money. And I don't mind paying it because I think we should all pay our taxes and do right by our society. I don't complain about any of that, but make it easy for me to give you the money. Don't like make right.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's they're just it is what it is. So I'm also a bit off kilter today for that reason. So yeah, Zilphia says they also have way too much paper in Canada. Yeah. So yeah, I just at filing and stuff, I don't know, I just hate it, and it's necessary and it's important to stay on top of all this stuff, but it's just hard and time consuming and resource consuming.
Well, speaking of society, communities, and health, today we're working on the Faerie core of the Evermother.
That was a perfect segue, my friend. Because
it was perfectly adequate.
No, the segue would have been because it's like the parent state, right? And you know who else is all about the parent state? The Evermother.
Yeah.
The queen goddess of Avalon.
That's
so to
right.
speak. So
little lady, we're talking about you, the Evermother.
The Evermother.
So I'm curious. I'm ready to like power through this with you, but you did the previous one, the Child's Core, and you did it. So I don't know if it's better if you take the lead and you're asking the kind of questions you want to ask to get this written, or do you want me just to make it happen?
Do we want to share what I wrote with the stream?
No.
We just want to keep it.
No, I've already read it. It's fantastic. Kurt already wrote stuff for the whole Evercourt for the Everchild, and it's amazing. And we got stuff to make, so let's just keep going. Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, I already started a little bit of work on it,
Mummy,
and essentially,
yeah, it's Mummy.
Yeah, mommy. Now so the fun stuff that we're doing here is we are, again drawing on mythology where we can. And of course, there's a lot of conflicting things so it's our sort of free interpretation of what some of these things mean and where they come from, and a bit of free association, a bit of historical research, a bit of just reading and seeing what we feel like, and a bit of invention because at the end of the day, it's still a fantasy adventure book. So we want to make sure it's compelling and interesting to play with. So I think those are the kind of the considerations that we have, with the main one being that it has to be fun, right? Because we're
exactly.
making a
so
game.
We're making a pizza here, and the base is the dough, and the dough is kind of standard when you're making a pizza, right? And so our standard pizza dough is that in the previous stream, in fact, while you weren't here, I did a bunch of research on all the Celtic deities I could get my grubby little hands on, and they are historically and mythologically and traditionally inspired, and really do exist. Well, at least in our mythos they exist. And that is going to be our base. And then once we've taken those names and the purviews, from there we get to sprinkle whatever toppings that we like upon that base to make it as compelling, as interesting as we can for our world of Avalon and our book, right?
Yeah, and we do have some resources referencing. I think a big one that we've referenced for this project is the Element Encyclopedia of the Celts for this section.
Yeah,
that's like a big one. Various what do you call it? Various
yeah, but we don't need to go through that again. We've already done that. We already talked about it on the stream.
Yeah. So anyway, we can go for it. So we're naming things officially, and the name of this place is Anun Pedravan. Is that how you say it correctly?
Yeah, Pedravan. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Anun Pedravan. So yeah, Anun Pedravan.
I like that idea, Kurt, actually. So we named in the first book 5 years ago. We named all of the main fortresses of the Everones in the Otherworld, and I derived the names from the spoils of Anun. There's a Taliesin poem about King Arthur venturing into the Otherworld on his ship Pedravan. Not ship's Pedravan. The ship's called Pedri. I forget what King Arthur's ship's called, which is frustrating because I read it today. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And in that poem, he goes to all the different forts in the Otherworld, and so I took those names and assigned them to the gods and made them their forts. And then Kurt said, well, if it's Caer Pedravan, so that's the fort of Pedravan, does that mean just the area is called Pedravan as well? That's basically your idea, I guess, right?
Yeah, essentially,
Yeah, and I
and
think that's a
that
fun
they're
idea. That's
yeah, and it's not something that's super well known. That's kind of what it's referred to by the
Yeah.
fairy course as well. Like I think mortals think that they're all just kind of one place, right?
Yeah.
They don't understand that they're like distinct realms, more or less. So, we need to brainstorm certain things. So, for example, we need to brainstorm ideas for the Alil, what their homes are like, what they like to do with their time, and what some of their favorite things are, and then the dangers of their area. So, we could spend a second to chat about the Anun Pedravan's layout. Now, it's easy. It's easy to just think of it as Forest World, right?
Yeah.
And we need to, and having Avalon, if you have your core rule book, is the useful useful reference point, which we kind of have to refer to in order to make sure that we're staying consistent. But when we talk about the groves of the Evermother, let's see here.
Actually, get upstream. Get upstream.
Yeah, and we say that the stories leave listeners filled with so much wonder that a head full of such tales would be difficult to lay down to slumber. So we need to make the groves of the Evermother very wondrous and whimsical. And if a child were to hear about it, they wouldn't be able to go to bed, Darren. That's the challenge.
Okay, I think we can meet that challenge. Yeah.
And it said that the forests of the Evermother contain all the trees, fruits, and common beasts that have ever existed or will ever exist. Housed among canopies stretching toward the boundless horizon. Sure. And then feasts of the Evermother's Tilitheg are believed to be a gourmet's dream. Even across a banquet stretched across centuries, no single dish or recipe would ever be served twice. Now, again, this is all hearsay from the mortals too. It's hard to say. It's up to us to still pick and choose, because it's all folktale stuff.
Yeah.
And then we have the Alil, who are the Fae of the Evermother. So we got the Dryadic flower tree people. Yes.
Yep. That's these guys.
Okay. So now when we're thinking about, in terms of thinking about this the domain, deciding what Pedravan looks like is, I think, pretty important.
Okay.
So what do you imagine?
Well, we've already been there twice.
Oh, that's right. In
In fact, this might be the other world we have the most depictions of. I now have 3 depictions of this other world.
Oh, there you go.
The first is on screen right now on stream. This is illustration from.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's from the core book. Yeah.
From the core book, yeah. And actually, I'm not sure. I mean, I think this is the other world. I think it's kind of in those points where it's kind of like halfway. Because there's deer here and things like this, and it looks otherworldly, and there's animals here. But there's also, I don't know, it just looks a bit like a forest as well. But I think that's what her other world looks like anyway. Then it
does look like a nightmare forest.
That looks like a bad place.
No, it does look like a dream forest.
Yeah. I wouldn't say nightmare though, but yeah, definitely dreamy forest. And then I guess Faerie Queen.
I would say. No, I would say nightmare because it reminds me a bit of Nightmare on Elm Street. Like there's a person coming out of a tree.
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, that's just otherworldly weirdness. Yeah, and then in against Faerie Queen, we venture into the other world, but it's a region that's been corrupted by a Balvan She. So this is one of those, at least a pocket in the other world that's not been tended to by the Alil, and it's kind of becoming corrupted and unshapen in its own right. And so it's full of, I don't know, just like thorns and dark blue light, and just not, it's not particularly welcoming. And then recently we have a map made for it, which is supposed to represent just a general region of the other world. So maybe this is even more important to go off of. This map here. That's not the map. That's the Penbiath map, and it's the Evermother's Realm map. Here we go.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. In fact, can I rotate this? Okay. And so what we have is a maze, a forest maze, which has looping portals where you walk one way and turn around to go in a different area of the forest. So it's a forest that will get you lost. And then we have the dark blue area that's similar to the illustration I just showed you. And then we have a more regular grove where there's like farms of, not farms, but regularly planted trees that are being tended to by the Allele, bearing strange fruits and things like that. And there's some kind of weird sanctuary in the middle as well. So it is just a maze of forestry that you can easily get lost in, that has regions that are almost orchard-like, that are heavily tended to by the Allele, regions that are wild, and then regions that are dangerous, where you're in the dark area of the forest, and things begin to fall out and die. And then maybe there's some interesting sanctuaries here and there as well. So that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I like that map. It's very psychedelic. Also, the forest is like the first place we visit in the Mabinogion, isn't it? When isn't the king of, was it the king King Aran, or he, the hero of that story, like wanders into forests and then they're like, hey, let's switch places, and then it's like a banquet happening in a forest, and then they switch places for a year.
Oh, is it? Yeah,
So,
I forgot that it took place in the forest. Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's what happens. He wanders into the forest, and then like the guy's like, "Hey, buddy, let's switch." So, okay, so we have so we have to describe the castle. We have to do Caer Pedrevain. Can you say for me one more time?
Do you want to start talking about the life, or do you want to start by talking about the Evermother, or do you want to jump into a house? I don't know.
I want to,
yet, but we can do it if you want.
Yeah, I want to start with like the texture of the places, right? Okay. Like I want to get a feel for what their areas are like what because like that's like what makes it interesting, and what differentiates all this place from like another place in the other world, right?
Correct.
From the other versions of Anun. Like, so is Caer Pedrevain, so and we have some existing folklore we have to reconcile that we talked about, right? Like, and we talked about that on stream before, like the truth of was it Adir Teg, is that right?
Yes, yeah.
The Faerie Gate. So how does that connect to, there's like a connection to the other world with that tree, right? Does that connect to Caer Pedrevain, or is it just totally separate thing?
Good question. I don't think we need to answer that right now, though.
Okay. We don't have to answer it, but I want to think about it.
Yeah.
The other thing we need to think about is, okay, well, what do we think this castle looks like? And also, is there a reference point in the mythology that we want to draw on? The closest one I thought of was, from the Mabinogion.
Well, don't we describe it a bit in here?
Do we describe the castle in the description of it?
Maybe. I also know that these words might mean things as well. Which is, actually, I think I knew that, which is why I drew it on them.
You chose it, yeah. Good job, Darren, of 5 years ago.
Yeah. Where is it? So, the braggart beauties of the Evermother compose a community in Caer Pedrevain, where they keep and drink from the cauldron of inspiration. So that's all I mentioned there. Treasures. Do I not mention glass? Watchers of glass. Yeah. Okay. Maybe it's only this one I don't know much about. Yeah. But that's, so now we're going. So yeah. Now let's just not do that on stream, because it's going to go into detail. We have to start doing reading and research, where we could just do other things instead.
Okay.
Right, that are faster.
Okay. In that case, we can talk about the Allele.
Yeah.
If you feel more comfortable with that. Yeah. So when we talk about so we have the Boo Box living in like these cute little fauna-esque roundhouses, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is cute and adorable. So what is the Allele? What do you imagine the Allele's equivalent is?
I mean, it's
they stick to...
interesting because obviously the humans that depend by themselves live in trees and in canopy towns in the canopy as well, right?
Oh,
But
okay. So what you're saying is
so what I was going to
the
say
Lil
was
should
that
live.
then it's weird then if the Lil do that as well, because then I don't know, it seems less otherworldly. But the tree homes built into trees, I think they were built during the Divine Age when the Fae and the humans were in a violent together. So it's possible that they'll also live like this and they pass that on to the humans in certain settlements and they're not recreated anywhere else. The alternative as well is that, well, these creatures are made of trees and plants. I don't know that they would have homes. Like, can they just T-pose and go to sleep? Right? Or just like meld into a tree and like become a branch and just exist there for a moment? Like, shouldn't their homes just be the orchards that they reside in, perhaps?
Now you're really entering some interesting, what do you call it? Fae theory. Do fairies sleep?
We're not answering that question.
I mean, here's the thing. I imagine Bubak do.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if Elil would.
Yeah.
Or it's arbitrary, you know. It's whimsy, face stuff. So yeah, maybe they rest. I could see that being the thing, right? Like they don't have homes so much that they have like
gardens, orchards,
faking or groves.
Yeah.
Right, or orchards, where they just go to a clearing and they just like when they need a rest, they just
tree out for a bit. Yeah.
yeah. They're basically like what do you call it? They're basically like Ents. They're tree folk.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah. One thing is interesting. We do have tree folk in the game as well, and I'm wondering like what's the difference between an Elil and a tree folk? And I'm guessing the Elil probably more planty, and the more human-like as well, whereas the tree folk are literally just trees that move. Yeah, that's probably enough.
Yeah, I think Tolkien just took well, I mean, if you consider Tolkien to be the originator of Ents.
Well, no, the angry moving trees are from a Welsh legend.
Yeah. Oh sure, but the race of tree people.
Yeah.
Of the well, in any case, it's they are just kind of like giant versions of dryads.
Yeah.
Giant ugly dryads. So maybe that's the difference.
Okay, so little homes. We're saying they don't have homes, right? They live
in groves.
They live in
or
groves,
nurseries,
orchards, and what's another? I said another thing earlier. Gardens. They do not desire shelter. They simply root themselves or become a branch and create a tree when they want to rest. Something like that.
That sounds real to me.
Okay, pastime. Well, an obvious pastime is gardening, right? Like I feel like that's all they do. Is they tend to plants and make fruit and stuff. What do you think?
So we can say that, but it can't be so. We have to consider it from like a. They're doing it for eternity, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you're right. So, you're right. Carry on with your thought. I see where you're going. We're going.
Yeah. So it has to still be like, if they're intelligent creatures, they can't just be like mindless automatons who are just like, okay, well, we're gardening robots. Because that's not engaging either as a species of intelligent creatures or for players who engage with them. Like, okay, well, these guys just like unless you really establish why are they doing this? Why?
I have the answer.
They don't need to. Sorry. You have the answer?
Yeah. So we talk about again here that the braggart beauties of the Evermother compose and commune and care Petruvan, but they keep and drink for the god of inspiration. Like I feel like their goal with their time is to try and create things that are beautiful. That's all they aspire to. So there is something to be said of cultivating plants, trees, and fruits to create the most delicious fruit possible, right? They're just trying to not engineer, but what's the word for engineering but for plants? Cultivate, is it?
Yeah. Cultivate, yeah.
Yeah, cultivate just the most delicious fruits possible, and also spend their time singing them with songs that are as beautiful as possible, and poetry as beautiful as possible. They're trying to create something that is, what's the aspiration of being the peak of beauty? It's almost like
they're chasing the sublime, right?
Yeah, chasing the sublime. They want to make the platonic, like the ideal. Yeah, chasing the sublime. That's good. Chasing the sublime.
And they're basically like was it the 19th century romantics?
Yeah,
like
exactly. And it's like that time where people were just like messing around with grapes to make grapes different colors and things like that. And they're just doing the flower blending, like the tulip craze and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's this idea too of because Kelsh. Kelsh. I said Welsh. I mixed Welsh and Celtic.
That's really good, yeah, Kelsh. Yeah.
Sorry.
And Weltic.
But Celtic mythology. Yeah. No, I mean the Celtic revival occurred in kind of
true.
a similar time period, right?
Yeah, that's so milieu. That's the word people use, milieu.
Yeah. Milieu, yes. So the milieu. Maybe there's a way to match. So I kind of so the way we're talking about it, I kind of view it a little as having that energy, right? Mm-hmm. They're the eternal Celtic romantics of that period, embodied in this kind of pursuit.
Yeah, 100%.
So. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of. So when they're making trees, is that the only thing they're doing? They're not just planting, right? Like
their pursuit is they're doing songs, they're doing poetry.
Poetry, yeah. Are they doing statuary? Like basically, are they warping? Are they shaping? Because the trees are alive too, right? So they're giving like obviously we can't think about it too hard.
Do they cultivate plants in a way that's different to humans? Like, do they have another connection that's more than just planting plants?
It must be, right? Because they don't care about sustenance per se.
Well, we have tree whisperers, and I feel like they would be the epitome of that. Like, if they can become a branch of a tree, can they guide a tree as well at the same time, just by being a part of it? Probably, right?
Sure. Like, is the ultimate... You have all these trees, right? So... And the lilies are also tree-like. Like, do you imagine they, like, plant these new trees from, like, seeds of the previous tree, and they have like a reproductive function? Or is it more whimsy, and they're like the ghost of trees that have fallen are planted in the other world?
Not that one.
But, I mean, do you see what I'm getting at? Like, how do they choose? Like, yes, okay. Ultimately, we could hand wave it, right? Because it's just magical shit. Don't worry about it. We can also do that. We can also do that. But I'm always more interested if we're like asking the hard questions. So, and then maybe that's why it takes me.
Plant trees.
What's the ecology of a fairy tree?
Oh, a tree in the other world.
Yeah, what does it mean to be to plant a grove of trees in the other world? Like, are they?
I think that again, that's just a gradient thing. I think the where Avarlan becomes the other world the other world is still similar to Avalon, so trees can grow there in these strange conditions, and they'll be weird because of it. But then perhaps
Sure.
deeper into Avalon, then trees have to be made of something else. I don't know.
Yeah. And do they? I mean, do they have to, or do they? Do they even have to grow like normal trees do? Like, maybe trees can just fucking grow overnight if we want them to, right? Like they'll can just be like, okay, here's a new tree because we can do this because they're purely aesthetic, right?
Yeah, but I think that that's definitely not the answer because I feel like the allele are slow. Like the beauty comes from time, patience, care, consideration, detail, right?
Okay. Tradition.
I don't think they can. Yeah, tradition. Yeah, I don't think they can just like poof make a tree. I don't. I mean, they can with magic, but I think that's not their goal, right?
Okay, sure. So that tells a lot. So that's telling us a lot about their personalities,
Yeah.
right? I think that's okay. And the fact that they do take time and it makes more and it makes the whole, some of these legends of time, especially here. This is the part of the other world where they'll really fuck with someone's sense of time, right? Where a mortal will go in there and then they'll like think it's been 100 years or something, but only a few days in the mortal realm have passed, and vice versa. Yeah, so that's interesting to me. Like, is this the part of the other world where time is more timey-wimey and funky for that reason?
It can be. There's well, I don't know actually, because if that well, we can do what we want obviously, but the tale in the Mabinogi of the king swapping with Theodown, they asked to swap for 1 year, right? And it feels like a year for him, and it feels like a year for Theodown, so that's the same timeline. But it's in other tales that involve often sailing at sea and going through waters. They're the ones that end up with time changing being strange.
Yeah. Well, there's the Bran story.
We want, obviously, we don't have to adhere to that.
Right. Because it's all just kind of otherworldly stuff. I mean, I'll let you consider that and how you feel about that, whether or not, like, if there's a god or goddess of time, which is the domain that would most be interested in messing with making? I mean, they might all have it to a certain extent.
Well, yeah. So I guess we've already done this. So obviously, the Evermother is a goddess of seasons.
Yeah.
So she has an interest of tracking time and the difference between time, but in against the Fairy Queen, it's the Ever Elder that actually messes with time.
Elder.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. Okay. So we don't have to necessarily mess with that there.
All right. Let's brainstorm our little favorite things. And so you've used the designated spot ranks. I went back to the Everchild one, and here you put Bubak Red. And I was just like, oh, that's the fun thing about Bubak. But that's the thing you want to do for each of them, right? Is talk about things that they like, right? I guess in a way to get players to entice them with, or just see what.
Yeah, like it's a thing from mythology that's kind of interesting, and it doesn't have to be food or whatever. Like this is a suggestion, but it could just have to be a fun point from mythology and fae and so on. So obviously, brownies and boobox, that was like a thing that people believe that if you give them food, they would come back and they would.
So my first instinct, and generally we should probably listen to our first instinct. My first instinct was, well, they like beauty, right? So they like songs and poetry. But my then thought against my first instinct is that, well, if the allele are so focused on song, beauty, poetry, that takes them hundreds of years to cultivate, surely anything a mortal would offer up would be just terribly ugly and paltry in comparison, right?
Would it be? No, I don't necessarily think so.
You don't think so? You don't think it'd be like looking at what a child makes and being like, yeah, that's endearing, but it's not exactly gonna win any awards in our society, right?
No, I think it'd be a similar experience to like an old composer who's like composing his symphony or whatever. And then a kid like Jacob Collier comes along and says, "Hey, look, I made this in like an hour," and he's just like, "How did you do that?" Like, there's like a certain, I think it kind of goes both ways. There's both this kind of like emphasis on taking your time to create beauty, but there's also the matriarchal version of like, "Whoa, good job, that's really good." Like, the feeling of a parent towards mortals, or the feeling of the Fae towards mortals is similar to a parent towards their child. Of like, when my son does a melody, it's not as good as what an adult could make, but I'm fucking wowed by it because he couldn't be able to do that in such a short amount of time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think they can still appreciate the novelty and the preciousness of like of mortal life. And in fact, they might actually like there might be like a bittersweet longing for that in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
So when we think about like the Allil, and they're so concerned with beauty and contemplating it, they also, when they can, it's kind of paradoxical. They have all the time because they're fucking immortal beings, but they're trying to really also capture fleeting beauty the most, and that's really hard for them to do as eternal beings, as beings with long lifespans. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we can go
like the beauty of a wilting flower, right?
Yeah.
Like a flower that would only be in their time, like it's only there for a second, but they recognize it's the most beautiful rose that's ever existed, and that means way more to them than spending hundreds of years trying to cultivate that same rose. But if it could kind of exist in that perfect state immediately, then they'll love it just as much, but that's really hard to do.
So then then we're saying about music, song, poetry, and art again, right? It's the same thing as the pastime one. So we could split them up. We could make the pastime like gardening, cultivating fruits and things, and make the favorite thing songs, poetry, and art.
Sure. Feasting. I mean, it could be feasting too. Like, feasting is a thing, right? We talk about them cooking and stuff.
For pastime or favorite things?
Either. Like the fact that they're cultivating so many things, they're also trying to be infinitely creative and like
I guess
pushing...
I feel like the second bullet point that you've created is about what the Allil would do by themselves. And then the third bullet point is what is it that adventurers can offer to Allil, is how I'm interpreting it.
Or how can they interact in a way?
Yeah. What can... So, for the Booback, in their own time, they're playing Fae games, right? But when there's people involved, if there's a way for them to get milk to make Faerie bread, then they're going to be really happy about it. Right?
Yeah.
And then for the Allil, it's like, what are they doing in their spare time? They are making songs, music, fruits. And then what is it, when they interact with the person, what are they hoping to gain from it? And I guess if the answer is new music and new art and poetry, that's fine, but then it feels like it's overlapping with the previous one as well.
Right. Maybe, I mean, could it be something in the realm of something fleeting? Right? Because they're not good at that. They appreciate beauty in all its forms, but they specifically are not good at making things that are fleeting, but they appreciate it. Whatever that means. Whether it's a
spontaneity.
Yeah, like a spontaneous song, or a rare rose from the mortal realm that'll wilt in like a week or something. Is that not interesting?
That is fine.
You don't sound convinced.
Yeah. Well, you're saying that it's then like stuff that doesn't last long. It's just I'm finding it hard to crystallize into a thing, right? To write about. Obviously, you're going to end up writing about it, so maybe you've got a better idea. But I think that I don't know. I kind of want to push back and go the other way again. And well, let's not let's say, okay, that's path A, song, beauty, ephemerity. What happens if we go down path B and do the opposite and say, actually, the allele are quite prudish, they're very opinionated, they think that most things that humans craft isn't actually that great compared to what they make, and they're not too bothered by human creation as much as their own creation. They're self-obsessed in that way, they're vain. What else would they appreciate from people? What would they want from the Varlin?
Okay, well, maybe that does make sense, because then
I'm not saying it makes sense. Either one can make sense. I'm happy with either. I just want to explore this route as well and see where it leads us, and then take which one's more compelling, right?
Yeah. No, I'm saying it makes sense in contrast to like the Court of Pebbles.
Sure.
Where the Court of Pebbles is more interested in like novel stuff, and then maybe you're right. Maybe the Court of Branches should be more about the old games, the tradition, and so on. So. Yeah, I can see that. In that case, could it be something that? So if they don't care about what mortals are doing,
great.
If I were
being artsy.
Creating it, yeah. If I'm like a 3, so basically, what would I be if I were a 400-year-old mother-in-law?
Oh, I've got the answer. Again, we're not talking about the Evermother. The other mother and her Fae are different things, right? We're talking about the Fae here, and at least the answer that came to my head is not worship, but awe. They love the feeling of, because if the allele are competing with each other all the time to make something beautiful, then there's like this catty kind of, I don't know. It just feels to me that no one's ever impressed, right? But when the allele reveal themselves to a human and then sing a song, and the human's like, "Holy shit, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life," that's what they love.
Oh sure, yeah. They love. So basically, what you're saying is they love showboating.
They love being praised.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Yeah, they want it. They want to show off their effort and have it be
appreciated.
Have it be received.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah. That actually does sound like a 19th century romantic poet thing to do.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Like, basically, the allele are like the Byrons and the Shelleys.
Yeah.
Right? Where they're getting together and like showing their stuff off and like, isn't this cool?
Yeah. But I bet it's like looked down upon in like a little society. It's like, oh, did you hear that Kurt's gone down to the humans again to sing his recent song?
Oh sure. Like secretly crave it. Yeah. Secretly they're aristocrats. Right? Like they're very much aristocratic.
Mm-hmm.
They're the most would you say they're the most aristocratic of all the Tilwithtaeg and Fae? Like in the elitist kind of way?
Yes. I think you really nailed it previously when you're saying like the 19th, 18th century poetry, romanticism movement. That's all they want to do is and to do that requires money, right? You have to be wealthy enough to just exist, to be able to write. Think all day. Yeah. That's right.
Before Kickstarter and so on. Okay. So in that case, they love praise, and whenever there's an opportunity for that's interesting.
Mortals cannot comprehend it.
I might play with the space of them also, what it means for them to like also sort of praise and criticize each other.
Yeah.
Like you said, I like the catty aspect of it.
Yeah.
But then
I like it too.
Yeah.
I'll leave this here and you can play in that space. I think that's good.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Then what's the next thing? Go on.
Oh no, I was just saying I like the idea of like a very self-indulgent Fae, like having some mortals enter his like grove and he plays them this song that's like really fucking long.
Mm-hmm.
Like and then they're like, what is going on here? How come we can't leave? And then even though it's like a 10-hour song, 10 years have passed in like the mortal realm.
Yeah. And there's this fucking mortal stuck there for like 30 years aging away. His like family's left him, like he's considered dead. And then he returns and he's like, I just heard this really good song, but where's my family?
That's the vibe, right? I'm not
Yeah.
saying that's what happens every time, but
Yeah,
that's like
yeah.
a thing
No, I really
that
like
could
that.
happen.
Yeah, that feels great.
Yeah, these guys are assholes.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay.
All right.
So there's danger. Being stuck by a little song. Sure.
Sure. I mean,
Yeah.
we're also talking about the landscape, right? Because the
No, I'm
board,
joking.
if
It's
you're
besides being stuck right on the song. What do we have here? So what did you do for the Everchild? That's the way we can go back and forth. Is to show what you've done previously. Is by I'm now going to look here and remind myself what you wrote for this one. So for the Everchild's domain, you said, while creatures of monstrous size are the most obvious dangers, yes, because it's a giant's world. To get across the land, travelers must also remain wary of the landscape's supernatural hazards. Doesn't mean much, but including such as storms of giant hailstones. So you mean supersized hazards, basically. Super. Is there a nice way of saying
but you
that?
can't say
Supersized.
that sounds like
I know.
that sounds like a McDonald's.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Is there another way of saying that? Gargantuan?
Super.
Giganticized?
Yeah, that doesn't quite. It's weird. So there's not gonna be. I don't know. Hold on. Let me think about this. Oversized hazards.
Oversized hazards. Monstrous scale. Such as
you'd have to.
vast rivers filled with strange fake fish. Yeah. Okay, so basically you're just mildly kind of describing the things you might come across while moving through.
Yeah, I want.
Oh, so
I
got the answer to that already. I got the answer. It's the map, right? We looked at it earlier.
Oh, right.
It's a maze of forests that you can get lost in. Obviously, there's plenty of poison and hazardous plant material. And then there's the regions of the dead forest, but I guess that might come under the limits of the forest, right? Well, and then I feel like there should be, again, there's like predators and prey and things like that as well, right? But yeah, let's focus on like the maze aspect of it. Looping forest, mazes, deadly moving. I thought that the trees and plants themselves are constant danger. I think we've done that as well, yeah. So leave it at that for now. And then anything else you want to add?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Now, limits of the Evermother's domain.
This part's exciting. So Kurt was kind of riffing on some stuff in the Everchild's domain, talking about the dangers and things in it, and I just kind of realized in my head, oh, this is like all the stuff that's kind of like at the edge, like what's in the dark, you know, what's at the periphery that you don't want to come across. And so then we ended up making its own section, which I think is really interesting. So what did we end up saying? Yeah, we talked about how the Everchild's domain is shrinking because the Penkawa are turning their worship away from him, so he's losing their strength. You called that unmaking, that's cool. And then on that periphery where Horizons meets unmaking, Kalaskawa, and I keep going backwards and forwards about whether Kawa should be capitalized or not. Like, it's just the name of a creature, right? Dragons aren't capitalized. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go with no capital for now. Although it is difficult because it looks like a normal word, right? And you get to like, what the hell was that? And if you capitalize it, it lets people know that it's not a normal word, you know? So I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it sounds like, I don't know, for whatever reason, I liked capitalizing it, so I don't know.
Oh, but Springer you didn't capitalize, for example.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, Spriggan plot vengeance against the Everchild's host. On a great mountain range sits the foreboding towers of this and this. Yeah, cool.
So what we want to think about is the wild hunt is continuing.
Yeah.
And so there are still Ethagirthwin in Anun Patibad. So what does their part of is it still all forest, but it's like a twisted dark version of it,
Yeah,
or is
I
it?
think it's like, well, again, I think it's like this, right? This dead area where everything's trampled and consumed. Like imagine, like the Amazon when it's stripped. It's like that.
Okay.
It's been laid waste, and the Iskithirwin are just rampaging around looking for any morsel, anything that grows that they can then consume again, and that drives them ever closer to the Allel's groves, and they have to keep them at bay so that they can.
So is it? So it's just like an endless wasteland kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And then in this endless wasteland, giant pig beasts are roaming looking for food.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's kind of hard. We can't like say, oh, there's like 100 of them. Like, right? It's just there's a lot.
Yeah.
But they're.
I mean, they exist. They respawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the job. This is the job of the Tilwith take, to keep them at bay.
Yeah. To protect the Evermother's forests. Yeah. And the Varlin.
Okay.
Essentially.
Yeah. So and again, it's it's otherworldly magic shit. So it's both infinite, and there's the border.
Yeah.
It's both at the same time, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, because even this thing ends eventually, right? There's something else beyond this that's even more nothingness, more void-like, and less substantial that even a boar can't run through, right?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Write that down.
I mean, that's true everywhere, right? But beyond the wasteland, there is even more nothingness that even the great boars avoid. There is another name for these creatures. Obviously, there's the Bithe, which is the boars, which the Penbythe are named after, and then there's particular ones. I think it's like Turwick, Turk, or something like this. There's like these particular boars that exist. So for those that don't know, this is where we got the name for the Penbythe from. So I think a lot of people know Pendraig because of Pendragon, right? But there are these other pens. I didn't invent them. They also exist as well. There's Iskithirwin Penbythe. He's Iskithirwin, the king of the boars. And then there's Ispathadin Pencawa, right? He's the king of the giants. So those three are taken from the Welsh lore. There's the Muckle Levy, the Pen Levy, and then the Pen Avonk are the ones that I created. But I created them matching this kind of theme that they exist. Anyway, yes, Turwick Tyrith, that's it. There's a secondary Great Boar. So I noticed that in the other one, you name dropped a new creature. I forget if you name dropped another giant. Was that the name of the Faithra, or was it the name of its like second in command or something? The one that's currently in charge, right?
Oh, that's like, well, his son.
Oh, you said heir. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. So what I'm saying is, there's this other boar that I haven't ever mentioned yet from Welsh mythology that exists that you can use as the name of the current alpha boar, basically.
Sure.
I wouldn't assign any I don't know what we call him now, that like the king boar, the great boar. Technically he'd be Penbythe, but he can't be Penbythe because the Penbythe has stolen that, so they wouldn't call him that, right?
Sure. And I guess, and they're, what do you call it? They did that in order to take the power away from it, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And
maybe
we can't say
right first time. You just said the heir, right? The heir to it's the clear one, yeah. Right. So yeah, and the boars are completely bestial, right? They don't have any language and communication and plans and plots. There's some kind of hierarchy because there's boars live in families and groups, and this one's the biggest. But other than that, yeah.
Are they the only ones that can't communicate with each other?
No, I think that the dragons are very predatorial, but they're loners. so they don't even communicate with each other at all. Actually, they're probably the least communicative.
Okay.
And then the Muckalevi, we're gonna leave them completely open. Like they definitely communicate because they have like hordes of spirit armies, and they send them out and they get information and that kind of stuff. But what they're communicating and to whom and why is like we're not gonna touch that. That's gonna complete open mystery.
Yeah, but they're chaotic evil, so it's like
yeah, you don't know what they're doing. And then the Avank, I reckon they can communicate with people if they wanted to.
They wanted to. Yeah. They don't necessarily do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seem like an alien species almost.
Yeah, they're kind of like Illithids, mind flayers in D&D, I feel like. I think they'd rather like put their tentacle into your brain and see what's going on rather than ask you a question, right?
Right.
Even though they could ask you a question, but this is their preferred mode of communication. the violent thing you are.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
They're very selfish creatures.
Yeah.
No, I got you. Yeah. Oh yeah, trick. How do you say that? Twerk? Truth.
Yeah, twerk. Truth? Yeah, I'm actually not sure. Yeah.
Truth.
Do we want
Air to the
I kind of want to say that No, I was going to say that the Evermother, they're kind of winning, right? Like, maybe they're just doing fine at the moment. But obviously we want to set up against the Fairy Queen as well, don't we?
Sorry, you cut out for me.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, like, we talked about here that in the Everchild's domain, that the Everchild's domain is shrinking because of the lack of faith. What's happening in the Evermother's domain? Is it doing fine? Is it growing? Yeah.
I don't think we have to mention it specifically
every time?
Because then, and then we'll have to like per capita the Everchild's domain is booming.
Okay.
It's just and it's particularly a thing that we had to mention because it's a plot point in the first book.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh yeah, we gotta stick with it.
So I feel like we could stop here because it's been an hour, although we just start streaming late. But what I was most excited to do on the stream was to tackle one of the houses. Make some house stuff. So can we skip ahead and do one house? Just for me, Kurt, please, please, please.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Nice. Which house do you want to do? I don't want to do the House of Thorns. I want to do one of the other ones.
Sure thing. Yeah, I have some. I already put some ideas.
Well, that's cool. That's good too.
But it's not fleshed out yet at all. So there's plenty of space.
Yeah. Then let's do the one. Let me check something. I have an idea. I want to do then the God damn it. Because they're not named here. That's why I'm confused. Kitruvan. That's it. Kirivan. Yep, Kirivan. The House of Beauty. Oh, cool. That kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier, so maybe that makes it easier too.
Oh, you want to do House of Beauty?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
So tell us about Kirivan.
Right.
That's a hard one.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like, there's the older version and there's the newer version. The newer version is easier to say. It's Kerugwen.
Kerugwen.
So maybe I don't know. But you were like, but the old word looks better, right? Because it just looks older.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's fine.
As long as we have they'll be hard to pronounce, but that's
the Fae.
I don't know. I think
it feels. Yeah. Okay. So Kerugwen is portfolio, rebirth, transformation, inspiration, time, seasons, and most importantly, the cauldron of inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Which apparently is in the main 4. So that's a bit awkward, I guess. Because, not necessarily, but in the Everchild's domain, you made each of these houses like an actual separate building that's separate from the main 4, right? But in the Legend of Varna, we established that cauldron is in Care Pedruvan, and that's a different house. We could retcon that, or say it's there sometimes, but...
we share it.
They share it. Yeah. Or she just goes to the fortress because there is no. Yeah. No. Let's just make it so she goes there. That's her job, is to go there and tear for the thing. But she still has.
Yeah. I mean, there's. Yeah. There's space for infinite rooms. It's not like they have to go down to, from Oxford to Oxfordshire, as I've learned
Yeah.
from recent conversations.
Plus, we have just said that there are no
Uh,
houses, right? They don't necessarily live in buildings. Um,
yeah, maybe it's a bit more open.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's what I'm curious about is.
yeah.
I mean, we could also go completely the other way and just make like tree skyscrapers, just like go hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're just.
I
I'm
mean, I'm
also
okay with that
that.
because, like I said, they taught the humans how to do it, so they're probably doing it
Yeah,
themselves.
it looks like the tree version of Dubai.
Okay, so
Just-
the Cauldron of Inspiration, we're actually going to have an entry for that in the Legendary Artifact section, so we don't need to talk about it so much here.
Got it. So we just mention it.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's like a goddess of birth, rebirth, transformation, and inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Let's
what
hear.
kind of stuff
She was
were
in
you
the.
doing before to make the Everchild stuff? Like, what was your process? And invite me into it.
I guess my process was I would do a bit more reading about each of the origin myths and the differences, either both in the books I have and encyclopedia, Wikipedia, and other sites. So, and just get a feeling for how I could turn them into a personality. Right. So if so like for example, just even vibing on the portfolio, this character who's about rebirth transformation in a house of beauty. And she was a sorceress. Maybe she's a Teletheg that is constantly like reinventing herself, right? Maybe
she reinvents other people. So her story is she has these two children. One of them's beautiful, one of them's ugly, I think. And she wants to make the ugly one beautiful again. And
that's so fucked up.
Yeah, she yeah, and she has the Cauldron of Inspiration, which can create wonder, and it has that word. I've forgotten that word again. It gives you there's like this word that means like divine inspiration. We need to look it up. It's quite important. We'll include it. Anyway, and so she has this lad tend to the cauldron, and has specific instructions how to, stir it and keep it going. And then something goes wrong, and he somehow he gets his finger stuck in it, and he he burns his finger in it, and then he sucks his his thumb to get it cold, and then he gets the thing that makes it amazing. And then the second time it does something else, and then the third time it's poison.
Right.
Anyway, so he then gets the potion that makes him wonderful and beautiful. She gets really angry, and they chase each other, and they turn into animals, and then she catches him and eats him, and then she gives birth to him again and throws him into a water or something to drown him, but he survives and then becomes Talashian, the epic bard.
Sure. Right. That's a lot.
I know, it's
and
a lot.
The question is, and we still, the other thing is we still have to use our modern sensibilities, right?
Yeah.
But what my modern sensibility says is, the idea that she is this sorceress character that is willing to. She thinks that everything has a perfect form, and she's a very elitist. Nothing matches her standard, so she she's constantly on people, negging them until they become the quote unquote best version of whatever they are.
Yeah, and the other
but
part
they're
of it
never
as well
good
is
enough.
that she has the Cauldron of Inspiration, right? She actually has the means to make beauty, and the means to make inspiration.
Sure. And then there's gonna be but there's limits to its use, right?
Yes.
It's not
yeah, exactly. It's not never ending, because in the story it gets used twice, and the third time kills you, and then presumably you have to brew up another whole batch again, which takes its own time. It takes effort to make the concoction, and then the concoction can only be used a limited number of times. So yeah, it has a limit.
Right. That's interesting. So she also sees the
Yeah, so we say in the Avarlan, the braggart beauties of the Evermother compose and commune in Caer Pedrivan, where they keep and drink from the Cauldron of Inspiration. So this is her responsibility.
Okay, that's interesting. So it just takes a long time to make. So she's the
She's the one
she
that,
epitomizes.
yeah, maybe she's the one that gets to choose who gets to drink from it, right? That's,
Yeah,
so everyone's trying to impress her or make themselves worthy.
yeah, and maybe that's the process of how their fate turned into Tilith Teg eventually, right?
Could be, yeah.
Yeah. Or that's how all Tilith Teg are made, and they outsource it to all the other Fae houses. What do you think?
Yeah, probably not.
No, that's probably not. All right.
Yeah. I'll put this here. So she's like the gatekeeper of like the best thing you could ever drink ever. If you want to be a poet or something, or you want to be a model.
And so, does every like batch of this? Is every batch the same recipe, or does it change every time too? That's the fucked up part.
I mean, there must be. I don't know. Yeah, we can do.
Yeah.
She is the keeper who decides who gets to imbibe from the limited options food. And obviously, the hijinks ensues because she isn't the one that maintains the cauldron. She's just in charge of it, and then she hands it off to like a blind guy, and he's the one that's stirring the pot. And then he hands it off to another human kid, and that's how the problems happen. So, yeah.
Sure. Oh yeah, he hands it to someone that that would be tempted to like drink it. Or
I guess, yeah, you're right, because he's blind, right? So he doesn't care about beauty.
Yeah, so he doesn't care about beauty.
Yeah.
For visual beauty anyway.
Yeah.
That's kind of a silly idea. I like the idea. Blind Brewman.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the next one is what is Tai Caravan's ambition? So, in the sex section, I would put like their secret motivation.
Yeah, like what
and it's not always like.
Sinister.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. Yeah, no.
Yeah, because it has to be engaging, but it also can't be too one note.
Yeah.
But it also has to be a little bit niche because we have to write like 15 of these, and they all kind of should feel. Some could feel the same, but you can't have like 8 guys that are like, he wants to become the new everyone.
Yeah.
Or whatever, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the easy thing to do is tie it directly to the original story. Is that she has 2 children, but one of them she keeps hidden because the ugly duck story, right? She's ashamed.
Oh sure, it's the what's the name of that story? The Hugo and Bart Simpsons. Do you know that Simpsons reference?
Nah, sorry.
It's a Halloween episode where Bart has an evil twin that lives in the attic.
Okay.
And he's like an ugly monster version. So yeah, there's.
I have like some memories of it. Yeah.
But how come she hasn't made the ugly one? Is it like a failure of hers because no matter how much she gets to him, it's never good enough or something?
Yeah.
And is she actually ugly, or is it just that she's not? It's not that child's not perfect yet.
Yeah, you get in the room, he's like just this normal looking guy.
Yeah, but he has a complex like, I'm hideous. It's like the most beautiful man you've ever seen.
Yeah.
But like his eyebrow has like 3 too many hairs. So
yeah, maybe. And I'm okay with it. You play with it. I'm okay. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let me think about it. So
yeah,
let's say
you got it. Yeah.
Hidden ugly child.
Yeah, hidden ugly child.
All right.
But more importantly,
we'll vibe on hit it.
Check the OG story, the original story. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that idea.
Yeah.
And we're drawing from mythology.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's great. So that's why I like this stuff as well, secondly, because when I read the story, I was like, okay, the thing we can play most here is the Cauldron of Inspiration, right? And then we're trying to turn her into a bigger being than just a story. But then we get back into it, it's like, oh, actually, we can use the story exactly as it's told for this secret thing, and that's just really fun.
Yeah, I like that idea.
All right. Who's next then? Because then we just go to the next phase, basically, is how you're doing it, right?
Well, we need some locations, and so here's gonna be the challenge with is making sure that each of these locations are slightly
different.
different and interesting for each of the houses, right? Because it can't just be here's another forest grove, here's another forest grove.
I think that given what we said in Legends of Ireland and this cauldron thing, I think that this house lives in Cair Pedruvan. Is that okay? Whatever Cair Pedruvan is, that's where these guys reside.
That okay, so you're saying that this Fae house, Cair Pedruvan, lives in the main castle, or whatever the Cair is. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Well, I'm just saying that breaks the symmetry, which I'm not necessarily against.
Yeah, I know.
But it also gives you fewer places to go.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So I'd rather challenge myself to us to create distinct locations.
Yeah. So what did you do for the other ones? Did you always make a location? Yeah, you described the fortress, right? You said what it looks like at the top, basically.
I described what it is.
Describe the houses, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so in the case of these are there, I still imagine they're gonna have like these giant tree forts or whatever, and then.
So do you want to brainstorm some location ideas? Like you say, we don't want all of them to be an orchard, right? So like the House of Plenty, right? That's gonna be an orchard or something, yeah. That'd be like,
you said like just a giant orchard.
Yeah, like a giant orchard.
Yeah, that's fine. A giant orchard.
Then the House of Thorns. I mean,
a fortress made of brambles.
Yeah,
it's a castle of brambles.
Yeah. Castle of brambles. Yeah.
Castle of brambles.
Brambles. I keep saying thickets. And you keep saying brambles, but just brambles. Castle of brambles. Then House of Beauty.
Easy. This is a home. It's like a Home Depot. It's like a greenhouse.
It's a greenhouse. That's interesting. I don't like the artificialness of it, but it is interesting.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. See, I said it as a joke.
Yeah.
But what would an eco-friendly?
That's what I'm wondering now. That's what I'm trying to think. Like, it could be made of crystals. It could be made of like honey wax, like, or amber or something, like an amber greenhouse.
Ooh, like crystalline amber from like otherworldly bees, and that they solidify into sheets of like gold yellow panes, but that is hard as steel.
Yeah, that could be a thing.
I kind of like that. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, and then
I know that's not a thing. That is purely invention. That is.
No. I'm down with purely invention. I'm just wondering if it fits the theme of the House of Beauty. Like, is that where they would reside? And part of it, to me, I just think of, when I think of these poets, I just think of picnics. I just think of them lazing around near some water, you know?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Whereas Greenhouse just has this kind of different vibe to it that doesn't fit in my head.
Like
Greenhouse makes more sense for the House of Plenty to me.
Yeah, maybe.
Add that into there. Like, I like that idea.
Yeah, put that in House of Plenty. That's kind of fun, actually.
Amber. What do you say? As it was Amber Greenhouse, right? Amber Greenhouse. Those have been Amber.
Amber.
House. It's an Amber House.
Amber paned greenhouse. I'll know what that means later.
Yeah.
Wait, so are you saying it's a giant orchard inside amber paned greenhouses,
or
an amber
both?
greenhouse?
You can have a giant orchard
sure.
and there's an amber paned greenhouse.
Sure, yeah. It is the House of Plenty, so.
Yeah, there's plenty of things.
Okay, how about this? You ready for this? What if because like when I think of beauty and like a bunch of romanticists that are very vain, I think of reflective surfaces.
Yeah.
So it could be like pool, like groves and pools and waterfalls and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's like picnic by a lake, basically. It's almost like idyllic grove with pools. And you're right. They're going to be looking themselves in the bloody reflections of the pools, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm maintaining that each of the houses, it still has to be fort. So the regular Elil don't have like their houses like the Bubak do, or like with the other like the Hovel, because each of the other ones will have their things. But I do think that each of these fairy houses, their house needs to have like a fort. It needs to be a stronghold.
Right. Something that they can defend.
So what does idyllic grove with pool stronghold mean?
Could it be in like a giant flower bud? Like I'm imagining like huge leaves that come round, but then they're still open at the top to allow like light to come in, and they can change the leaves to change the lighting inside the pools. And it's just like giant dewdrops come down as well and make these pools and stuff. Like it's made of plant, but it's different from the brambles, which is thorn, and this is like soft and spirally.
Sure.
Kind of thing.
So you're saying they live in a giant. So you're saying it's a giant flower bud.
Yeah, that's the best
is what you just wrote.
That's the best.
Yeah, we can vibe on it. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
And then we'll make Care Pedro Band something to do with trees.
With like another giant tree or something.
Yeah, like a tree fortress, something like that. Like Dina Sequoia's built, but even more steroids, I guess.
A tree. What do you call it? Tree skyscraper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Add some weird image. That probably wouldn't work. I was also just thinking of like whenever we could also think of like weird geometry, like non-Euclidean geometry shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's always interesting to me. But this giant flower bud idea, like if I like think about it, you could have like the stems are like each of the pistils can basically have its own like room on it, and it's like not infinite. It could be infinite. No, not infinite, but countless stems and pistils and stuff going in, and each of them is their own kind of weird little room in space.
Like not a room, but like a wing, like a wing of the.
Yeah. I'm thinking of like a weird looking, like it's like a weird orchid.
Let's do a giant flower bud. At its center is an idyllic grove. And idyllic grove with pools inside, reflecting pools. And each of its spiraling petals is a, what I say, wing of the fortress, something like that. And that makes no sense, but that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, something like that. Cool.
Yeah.
All right,
we'll figure it out.
Then,
all right, well,
Sulis, do you want to stop here, or can we do these other two faves quickly?
I'm okay. Well, yeah, we're already 90 minutes in.
Yeah, let's stop it then.
I think we can call it.
Yeah, we can do this on stream as well.
All right, thank you for watching us work.
Yeah,
you're watching
these are my favorite streams. I don't know about everyone else, but for me, it's like you really get to see what it's like when we're just making stuff, which is
and like we said like we said at the beginning of the stream, both me and Darren are off kilter, so it is very much like work where we're just like, oh man, we gotta figure this out. But no, I'm happy with these ideas, and we're gonna polish them and mess with them and do some research and stuff. Oh, thanks, Zilphia. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching us work. But we're getting close. We're getting close to the finish line. A little bit, we're getting there.
It's actually getting there now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it. Excited for you guys to get the books. Excited to get all our backers their stuff, and then excited to reveal and play our next project.
Yeah, New Horizons. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Anything
Also,
else? Any parting
yeah, I
words?
just didn't zoom in. This, I think I've been thinking about this for literally 4 years, 5 years, and never quite put my finger on it. But this Elil looks like she's wearing Christmas tree lights.
Hold on. I need to.
Like
Am I
she's
not?
doing like Christmas tree light. I think you call them fairy lights,
Oh
like
yeah.
fairy lights, like wrapped around her.
Daylight. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like You ever watch Stranger Things?
Yeah, sure.
It's like that. Yeah, it's like that. Maybe that's what they're vibing off of. I was like, oh, it's like the upside down and like Christmas lights you use to communicate.
Yeah, no, it's Christmas lights. Right, cool. All right, goodbye, everyone. Torch bugs, yeah. You call them torch bugs?
Yeah.
Like fireflies? You mean fireflies?
I call them fireflies, but that's because I lived in California and I hadn't seen a firefly until I was 40.
Do we call them torch bugs? Like, have I been Americanized? That's what I'm wondering. Torch bugs. Bugs. Torch bugs. Skyrim. Torch bug lore. Oh, there's a Skyrim thing. Depends on the day. Oh, okay. Torch bug in a jar. All I'm finding is Elder Scrolls references. Anyway, let's head off. All right, goodbye, everyone. Thank you. Take care.
Good night.
See you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Ooh, fireflies, torch bugs depends on the day. I got you.